Hello class, welcome to chapter 6. Today we are doing lesson 6.1, which is on ratios and rates. So our first vocab word is a ratio. And what really is a ratio? Well, it compares two numbers. So for example, if I was talking about trees and flowers, all right, so here's two trees, and next to the trees were some flowers that were planted. Excuse my drawing here, right? Not an artist. All right. So it looks like there are two trees and there are three flowers. Well, a ratio compares those two. So I could say two trees to three flowers. So for every two trees, there should be three flowers in a forest or a garden, if that same ratio were to continue throughout that space. So ratios are always written in simplest form. So what I mean by that is you would write like 1/2 and not write 5/10. Ratios can be written in three different ways. Okay, they can be written with the word to. So for example, if I were talking about the numbers 1 and 14, I could write 1 to 14. They could also be written with a colon sign, but it's read the same way. It's still read the ratio of A to B. So again, if I was talking about the numbers 1 and 14, I could write 1 to 14 that way. They could also be written what looks like a fraction. So I could write 1 to 14 that way. Notice they're still all read the same though. I pronounce them if I'm reading 1 to 14. So example 1, write the following ratios three different ways. So notice in our table here there's 1, 2, 3 different ways to write the ratio. In our example 1, we have to include all three ways. And remember that they have to be written in simplest form. So one of them is already given to us in letter A, 1 to 17 with the colon. We've also got with the word to, 12 to 17. And we also have written as a fraction, 12 to 17. All right, so let's write the next one. 3 to 9. Now remember, I do need it to be in simplest form. So how can I simplify that? Well, both the 3 and the 9 can be divided by 3. So if I do that, I get 1/3. So my three different ways, we have the fraction way, we have the way with the colon, and we have the way with the word to. All right, letter C. 7 baskets made in 9 attempts. 7 and 9, 7/9 can't be simplified. So our three ways are written with the colon, with the word to, and written as a fraction. Letter D. 14 volleyballs to 28 players. I know that we can simplify this one because 14 and 28 can both be divisible by, well, actually they could be divided by 2. They could also be divided by 14. So if I divide both of these by 14, I'm going to get 14 divided by 14 is 1. 28 divided by 14 is 2. So I have 1 to 2, 1 to 2, and 1 to 2. Okay, equivalent ratios. Well, that word equivalent, E-Q-U, really is like equal, right? So you can think about equal ratios. So when two ratios have the same values or equal values. So for example, if I were to look up at this example, letter D, if we had 14 to 28, the equivalent ratio to that is 1 to 2, okay? They really are representing the same information. All right, rate is our next vocab word. it is a ratio of two quantities measured in different units. So units means like inches, feet, miles, pounds, those kinds of things. So basically, it's a ratio with those units. And specifically talking about unit rate, anytime you see that word unit rate, you can think of the words like per or for every, like miles per gallon, or muffins cost $2 per muffin, per one muffin. Okay, so what it's really meaning there is it's a rate with a denominator of 1, the number 1. So, like another one is miles per gallon. Miles, maybe you drove 30 miles per 1 gallon. That would be a unit rate. Okay, so let's actually put this into play. Let's go to the back side of our notes, example 2. It says you host a party for 12 people. The food and drinks of the party cost $66. What is the cost per person? So the important piece of this is in that question when it says cost per person. That word per is kind of indicating like a fraction or like the second part of my rate. So I'm going to put cost on top and person on the bottom because that's how it is written in my problem. Okay? I know that it was $66 for 12 people. So that is my rate. Okay? Now, I need to figure out what is the cost per person. That means like for every one person. So basically what this means here is I need to get this fraction so that there's one person on the bottom. So I need to somehow, what can I do to 12? What can I do to 12 to change it into 1? What can I divide 12 by? Well, 12 divided by 12 is 1. So if I divide the bottom by 12, I also have to divide the top by 12. And 66 divided by 12 is, if I can do that on a calculator, it's 5.5. So keep in mind, we're talking about money here. I would never write 5.5 like that. I would write 5.50 to signify $5.50 per one person. Okay, example 3. A jet flies 540 miles per hour. So notice here, this miles per hour, that is a unit rate. That means miles per, doesn't say how many hours, so our hidden number is 1. So 540 miles per every 1 hour. Write its rate in miles per minute. So what we need to do is we have this right now. We have 540 miles per 1 hour. Okay? I need to change this into miles per minute. So miles is still going to be on the top, but I need to change the bottom into minutes. Okay, so I'm going to show you kind of a clever trick here. And this is very helpful when you get to science classes too, because you can kind of figure out what math to do by manipulating the unit. So what I really need is this hour to cancel. I need to be able to cross it out, basically. Well, how can I cross that out? I do know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. And now note that we want it to be in minutes. So, okay, so we have hours right now and we want it to be in minutes. So this is a good conversion factor, it's called. Now, if I want to be able to cross out that 1 hour on the bottom, I need to have 1 hour on top. So I'm going to put 1 hour on top and the 60 minutes on the bottom. And now, because I have an hour on the bottom and the top, just like if I had like a 3 over a 3, those 3's cancel. Okay, so same thing with the units here, those hours cancel. Now what I do is I multiply going across, okay, to get my final answer. So I have 540 times 1, which is 540. And my unit that's left, hours, got canceled out, so miles is left. And then we multiply across on the bottom. So I have 1 times 60, which is 60. All right, and my hour canceled out, and my only unit left is minutes. So now I do have miles per minute in my answer. I do, though, need to simplify 540 over 60. If I divide on a calculator 540 divided by 60, I'm going to get 9. So my final answer is 9 miles per minute. And now I have answered the question, miles per minute. Okay, example 4 says engineers designed a miniature robot that can crawl through pipes and vents that humans can't access. The robot travels 1 inch in 30 seconds. How many feet does the robot travel in 4 minutes? Okay, so I'm going to start with what I know. It's going 1 inch in 3 seconds. Now, we know that our final answer is going to be feet. How many feet does it travel in 4 minutes? So I want my final answer to be feet on top and minutes on the bottom. Let's see if we can kind of manipulate this problem here so that we get feet on top and minutes on the bottom. Okay, so inches. I know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So because I want my inches to cancel, I'm going to put 12 inches on the bottom because then this inch and this inch cancel. So if 12 inches on the bottom, I have to put what's equal to it on top, which is 1 foot. Okay? Now look at that. I got my foot on the top just like I wanted. Now I do need to change this seconds on the bottom into minutes because I want it to be minutes in my final answer. So let's do another one of these. I know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So because currently seconds is on the bottom and I want it to cancel, I'm going to put the 60 seconds on top. Because if you have 1 on the top, 1 unit on the top and the same unit on the bottom, they cancel out. Okay? And now we're going to multiply going across. So we have 1 times 60, which is 60. And the only unit that's left there on top is feet. And on the bottom we have 3 times 12 times 1. And 3 times 12 is 36. And the only unit that we have on the bottom is minute. Okay, so if I were to take 60 divided by 36, I'm going to get 1.6 repeating. And my unit is feet per minute. Now, some might think that you are done, but wait a second. There's one more thing we need to do. It asked me to find this for 4 minutes. This is per 1 minute. I need to take that and find for 4 minutes. So I'm going to times by 4 because I want to know for 4 minutes. Well, if I take 1.6 repeating times 4, I'm going to get 6.6 repeating. And that's feet in 4 minutes. All right, now I have answered my question. It would be 6.6 repeating feet per 4 minutes. Okay, example 5, write the equivalent rate. Now remember, equivalent means like equal. So I have kind of the problem set up here. I'm noticing that we went from 1 minute to 1 hour. Okay, and then we need to figure out how many centimeters that's going to be. So I'm going to write up my conversion table just like I did in the previous problem. I'm going to start with my 5 centimeters in 1 minute. Now I know that because my original problem there, I want it to be an hour on the bottom. I do know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes, okay? So I would put 1 hour on the bottom and 60 minutes on top. Now this is great because I have a minute on the top and a minute on the bottom. Those two units cancel. We multiply going across. 5 times 60 is 300. My unit left is centimeters, and 1 times 1 is 1, and my unit left is hour. So that question mark that we're looking for there is 300 centimeters. Okay, the next one, very similar. I'm going to start with my original problem, 5 meters in 1 second. Now I want it to be hours on the bottom. So I know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. All right, then the seconds can cancel. But I still don't have my hours yet on the bottom. So I know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. My minutes will cancel. All right, we have our minutes left on top as our unit and our hours left on bottom, so we're good to go. We can now multiply going across. 5 times 60 times 60 is 18,000, and my unit is meters, over 1 times 1 times 1 is 1 hour. So that is my answer. Okay, letter C, we've got 3 pounds per $1. So how many ounces is that per $1? Now you might need to know this part here, and maybe you don't, and that's okay. 1 pound is actually equal to 16 ounces. All right, so we can use that in our setup. So I'm going to write the original one down, 3 pounds per $1. And now I want to change out my pounds. I want it to be ounces. So that means from this conversion factor, I'm going to write the 1 pound on the bottom. Why am I writing that? Because then my pounds cancel. And then we have 16 ounces left on top. Okay, multiplying across, so 3 times 16 is 48. And my only unit, pounds canceled, so my only unit is ounces. 1 times 1 is 1. And my only unit left is $1. So I figured it out, 48 ounces for every $1. All right, example 6, write the rate as a unit rate. All right, this is a big type of problem. When you do like standardized tests, oftentimes you'll see an example talking about unit rate. It really just means that you want that 1 on the bottom. Actually, just like our last 3 problems, okay, all of these had a 1 on the bottom. They're talking about unit rate. So we want our number on the bottom here to be a 1 as well. Well, how do I change that 6? How do I get rid of that 6 and get it into a 1? I divide by 6. If I divide the bottom by 6, I also have to divide the top by 6. Okay, so if I do that, 114 divided by 6 is 19 points. And 6 divided by 6 is 1. So 19 points per every 1 game. All right, and last problem. Same style. So we want this 10 on the bottom to be a 1. How can I get that to be a 1? You divide by 10. If I divide 10 on the bottom, I also have to divide 10 on the top. So 329 divided by 10 is 32.9. I should write down my unit. It's miles. Per 10 divided by 10 is 1. So 1 gallon. 32.9 miles per 1 gallon. Okay, that is lesson 6.1. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.